Hi, we're so glad you decided to join our webinar. Welcome. I'm Rebecca.
I'm Anne.
And we're the founders of It's Okay to Be Awesome, a mental wellness movement and program for kids. We have created a podcast that you can find on Apple Music. We do after-school programs and in-school programs, and approximately 1,000 parents and kids have gone through our programming thus far.
Awesome. Yeah, our specialty is helping empower children and their beautiful brains, helping them cope more powerfully with anxiety, stress, and working with parents as well. So we're really, really grateful you're here, and we're going to learn a lot of really cool tips and tricks today. So we're going to get started just talking about how to overcome feelings of powerlessness, which is the number one problem when a child is feeling anxious or when we're feeling hard on ourselves. There's a sense of powerlessness, like things aren't going to get better, we have no control. Some really easy reframes that we can do involve just understanding how the brain really works. And that is that the brain thinks in pictures.
So if we tell you, do not think of a purple cow with pink polka dots playing the flute, what did you think about right away? Of course, you thought of the purple cow with pink polka dots playing the flute. That's because, as Anne said, your brain thinks in pictures. And if you tell it what not to do, it thinks of what not to think of right away in order to process that. So when we talk to ourselves, our self-talk has to be positive. It can't be like, I don't want to fail, because what's the picture we just created of failing? So this is an amazing tool for you as parents and for your kids.
Because I'm sure as parents, you've heard your child say, I don't want to be left out. They're going to a new event. It's something that you're excited that they're going to try. They're, stepping out of their comfort zone for, but maybe in trying to empower them or helping them empower themselves, you're saying things like, okay, you won't be left out. Or the child saying, I don't want to be left out. Or I don't want to be alone.
Or it's not going to be that bad, don't worry.
It's often with anxiety, something they just don't want to happen, right? Anxiety is a future problem that we're thinking of and creating in the now. We're living as if it's happening in the now. Giving them a picture in your language of what you don't want to happen. I don't want to be left out, for example. Your brain's still seeing the image of being left out. It would be better to say, I'm going to have a great time and I'm going to meet new people. That paints a totally different picture.
The trick here, the tool, is say it the way you want it. So if you want to have a good experience, say it that way. If you want to be accepted and invited and feel like you belong, then say it that way.
So instead of I don't want that to happen, it's I want this to happen. Rule of thumb. So then that can work with when you're telling your children, teaching your children about self-talk, when you're actually speaking to your children about that, when you're saying, okay, well, it could be really great. You could make a lot of friends, all of the positives. And yeah, it's an internal shift that needs to be made. So think in pictures, say it the way you want it.
Another topic that we wanted to discuss is how we can have a new, more loving way of relating to ourselves and others.
The biggest problem isn't the fact that we make mistakes. It isn't even the fact that we're scared. It's the fact that we judge ourselves for being afraid, anxious, for having made a mistake. It's the judgment that keeps us prisoner, nothing else. So if we can start to, instead of getting mad at ourselves or instead of, being embarrassed, ashamed, we can just see and have compassion for what we're experiencing in our present state, in our present moment, that opens everything back up for us to really actually be present, be in life.
Compassion is a really powerful tool, and we also teach children in our program that when a bully is being unkind to you, what people use the words on you that they would use on themselves. So if they're saying like, you're so stupid, then you know for sure that's the words they use on themselves. So we teach children to have compassion for the bully, have compassion for the person that's being mean to you, because likely they don't feel very good about themselves. And that's their way of seeking out some sort of attachment or attention. And even if it's negative energy, that's the way they're doing it. So compassion is very, very powerful.
And a child or a parent may find themselves in a position of self-bullying or even doing something that's not skillful or good. And they may need to address it, forgive themselves for it, or just, face the unpleasant at some moment. And so one way to do that, it's through a technique called the compassion circle. And it's a really lovely exercise that involves only a pencil and a piece of paper. And what you do is you write down in the middle of a piece of paper the thing that is bothering you, or how the thing that's the problem, the issue. For a child, it might be, I don't want to go to school. And you just identify the thing causing distress. And then once you've got that identified, you ask the child, okay, that's how you're feeling. Can you accept that you feel that? And then once they can accept that they feel that way, just as if it was a fact, it's Tuesday today, I don't want to go to school. It's the same thing, I'm a human. That's a fact. We can accept these things. So teaching them just to accept what they're feeling, then we allow that to go deeper. And so once they've accepted it, then we can wait a second and then see what's the next emotion that comes up. That allows them to get objective with the emotion, come outside of it so they can see it in a new way, a more empowered way. It also shows them that they're bigger than the emotion, because they actually have authority over what they accept and what they don't accept. So if a child sees that they're scared and they accept that they're feeling scared, when they do, shame for feeling scared, fear of feeling scared, judgment of feeling scared, it all goes away and they're left with acceptance of themselves in that moment. You can keep going with the layers. It's amazing. And do it with yourself anytime you're feeling, maybe you've punished a child because they behaved in a way that you really didn't like, or maybe you parented like your parents and you promised yourself you never would do that. Write down in the center of the paper what is bothering you. Ask yourself if you can accept it. Work toward just accepting it as if it were a fact. That's something that happened. And then allow yourself to accept the different responses that bring up. See them, witness them, love them, give them compassion, and then see where you are. You're definitely more present. You're not in your head anymore. You're not in your fear. So game changer. From switching from judgment to compassion, huge focus of all of our programming for both parents and kids. It is literally getting you from your worst enemy to being on your own team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Another tool that we wanted to give you today was how to deal with limiting self-beliefs, which we all have. Some of those are passed down from our caregivers or parents. Some of them are created because of experiences we had in childhood, or feeling like I don't belong, I'm not acceptable, I'm not attractive, I can't make friends. So those limiting self-beliefs, when we carry them throughout our life, we continuously make them come true by believing them. So by pinpointing them and changing them consciously, we can make a big change in our life. And by helping our kids change their limiting self-beliefs, we can help them turn their lives around as well and attract different things.
As we kind of touched in the beginning, our words really shape our world.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that we see in pictures actually skews us to create what we're seeing. And so when we have these limiting beliefs, it's the same thing. We may want to be brave and fearless and love to try new things, but if we have a belief deep down that that's not safe or that change is bad, well, we're actually going to create that belief in our life, and we're going to see proof of that all over our lives. And so changing the language around the beliefs that we have is extremely powerful. It's extremely necessary. And it's necessary in a level that, as parents, we project our beliefs onto our children without even being aware of it. So I'm sure we've all had that moment where we were thinking, oh, I'm never going to be like my mother. No, or my father, or whoever, whatever. But we think, I'm going to do the opposite. Well, what do we end up being like? When do we catch ourselves doing the same quirky behaviors or having the same emotional outbursts? We have some of the same problems or some of the same. So there's just so much that, we were programmed a certain way without our own awareness, without our own input. What we want to do here is help not only understand that we have our own programs that we get to now change, but we want to teach our children that they can choose what their beliefs are. They get to choose if something is real for them or not. And so the real opportunity here is, you can change as a parent, you can change your words. You can say, you can start around your children saying, I succeed and life is beautiful and easy, or I'm so resilient. You can start using that language in your own life so that they model and mimic you. But if you don't believe it deep down, it doesn't matter, because you're still going to be acting in another way, and that is still going to be influencing your child. It's going to influence even how you speak to your child. If we have a limiting belief, that becomes the lens through which we interact with the world. We have no choice, and we don't realize we're doing it. For example, if we grew up experiencing anxiety, we may always be on high alert as a parent. We may think we're encouraging our children to try new things and to get out of their comfort zones, but all the while we're saying things like, be careful with that, or don't get hurt, which just creates more fear. We also may be really reactive and make that behavior normal. Likewise, if we have unhealed trauma or a mistrust of others due to having been hurt in our lives, we might be teaching our children not to trust, that men or women are dangerous, or that you should never need anyone. If our parents didn't show their feelings or dismissed ours, or if they made us feel that we had to achieve something in order to be loved or to be a good person, if we haven't worked through and healed those things in us, then we're passing it on to our children. The biggest issue boils down to this: kids need to feel and know their worth. They need to feel how special and important they are. They need to feel and recognize who they are behind the fear. They need to own and lean into their own authenticity and power. But parents themselves can't teach worth because they don't embody it. Most people don't recognize their innate worth or their right to surrender the struggle and be happy. They believe they have to work hard to earn happiness, not realizing that it's already there, waiting to be experienced. Essentially, most parents do not deeply believe that they are worthy or deserving.
Some are very aware of this, and some are not. Some parents may not have dived deep into their mental wellness or their own limiting beliefs, because that's just not something people in their families or world do, and others may have started but stopped. Due to the stigma of getting help to heal, not to mention the shame and the fear, often the cycle looks like they know there's something they want to work on and seek out help for, whether that's a counselor, psychologist, exercise class, spiritual community. They show up, try, but don't get what they're looking for or the level of healing they need, and then stop. In a lot of cases, if the first professional they open up to is a wrong fit, which can be as simple as a difference in personality or approach to life, they give up. In other cases, if something was helpful but didn't completely heal or solve the issue, and let's be honest here, we are layered beings, they become discouraged and may just resign to the fact that it'll always be a problem, that they will always have that issue and subsequently feel held back or broken. A lot of people are afraid of what they'll find deep inside, so they only ever allow themselves to touch the tip of the iceberg. For other parents, the approach is different. If getting support or asking for help isn't something they're comfortable with, they may just try to stuff their problems or suffering down. They may repress unwanted emotions until they get triggered again and then either blow up or shut down. Even though this may make the day-to-day seem more manageable, if they do get happy or have good things going on in their life, they often sabotage it. This can look like projecting internal anger outward and participating in fights with partners or kids, ending things before they're truly over, or not even letting things begin. If deep down we don't believe we are worthy of love, we won't let it in. The prospect of something being really good, really satisfying, uplifting, what we've always wanted, will terrify us. Even when it's there, we'll always keep looking and thinking that we have to be better because we aren't enough. So we'll either always be striving for the next best thing, step, person, job, or stop moving entirely and feel stuck and defeated. Both choices leave us with chronic feelings of emptiness, health problems, and often the need to be numbed by something.
The same thing happens to children. Disconnected from their true nature and innate worth, and unaware of how loving themselves unconditionally feels, they will feel empty too. They will go through life searching and never be present. This has to stop. The rising rates of depression and anxiety that are paralyzing our children have to stop. the higher than ever number of mental health diagnoses that are leaving our children disconnected, medicated, and numb have to stop. The higher than ever rates of suicide in children have to stop. And that is why we've created a solution, a transformation for parents from the inside out. It takes a completely different and extremely needed approach to healing and being present with yourself and your children. It's based on learning how you're using your mind currently and small shifts you can make consciously to get what you really want, how you perceive yourself and the external world, and how those projections influence all of your relationships and interactions, how to let go of your programming so you can be aligned with your true self and do things that light you up, which will affect your children in a really positive way, what your needs and true wants are, how to honor and empower yourself with boundaries. Most importantly, it's based on learning how to make your go-to response compassion so you can approach yourself and others that way, with love, through learning to surrender judgment and by getting in touch with the you behind the judgment.
Conscious growth is a journey. Unlike how our perfectionist mind tells us, it isn't a destination to arrive at or something to control. It's a process of expansion, understanding, and self-knowing. And it begins with the first committed step. Now is your opportunity to take that step. The course we've developed after consulting with the Canadian Mental Health Association and after working with hundreds of families is an extremely valuable mental health resource, and it's really needed in today's world. The amazing thing about this course is that it's self-led, so you can do it while you wash dishes, walk your dog, fold the laundry, or even drive. The Conscious Parenting e-course includes 6 audio modules with accompanying worksheet PDFs, practical exercises to apply the lessons to your daily life, guided meditations to support your growth. As a result of doing this course, you'll have improved communication with your children, better connection, understanding, and presence, improved sleep, increased mental clarity, increased energy, reduced levels of stress and anxiety. The beauty is, we're actually helping heal problems that accompany low self-worth or a sense of powerlessness at the root. That way, the problem isn't recurrent or lifelong. The reality is, if you don't take proactive action, it'll cost you money anyway, whether it's bringing your child to a psychologist, which at $120 to $170 per hour can reach upwards to $6,000 per year. And then there's the cost of medication, with prescribed meds for panic attacks, anxiety, and depression costing anywhere from $1,000 to $4,800 per year. And that's not mentioning the side effects associated with taking meds, such as drowsiness, sedation, weight gain, heart palpitations, confusion, and even suicidal ideation can be a side effect of certain prescribed drugs, which are another cost to the well-being of your child. Furthermore, from 2008 to 2019, there's been a 61% increase in Canadian emergency room visits in youth for mental health disorders. These numbers have increased even more during COVID-19. The average cost of hospitalization for mental health is $6,800 per year per person in Canada. When added up, these costs total to an astounding $17,600 in a single year per child. Our Conscious Parenting e-course has a value of $1,800, which is an amazing deal when compared to the costs of not taking action. But we aren't stopping there. Due to some generous corporate supporters in our community who deeply care about the well-being of children and families, we're able to offer the course at a significant discount to the first 25 families who register, lowering the investment to only $249. This price will only be available while those 25 spots are still open, so act quickly.
The goal of this course is not to help you parent perfectly. It's to help you parent presently. By being present with yourself, it will naturally make you more present with your kids and help you really connect with them and give them the attention they deserve. When a child doesn't have a present adult in their life, their emotions feel invalidated. They feel alone in the world. They feel like they don't matter because no one acknowledges them, and they feel they have to work really hard to be seen. This course is going to get you present with you
so you can be present with them. Once you complete it, you will know how to parent so your child feels seen, heard, validated, and can grow into an empowered, resilient, and confident person.
It's time to stop neglecting the one child we always neglect. That child has been around for a really long time, and that child is you. Remember, the only way to fix our relationship with our children is to heal ourselves first. You have a natural capacity to have loving and powerful relationships, starting with yourself. You have the ability to set empowered examples and be a wonderful role model for your children. It's your moment to commit. To commit to yourself, to growth, and to becoming the best parent you can be, so that your kids can have the empowered, loving, and happy life they deserve without all the struggle and mental distress. The journey starts with you. Join us by registering for the Conscious Parenting e-course today. Your children will thank you.